of the foundation, and I'm a donor. But in addition, I'd like to touch on the four-way test, and I'd also like to emphasise the importance of aspects of membership, notwithstanding that in your district you don't have a membership problem per se, but I would like to sort of talk about it. And of course, at the end, questions on any Rotary topic that suits you, assuming the Zoom system can cope with that and you've got someone to control things. Our Rotary Foundation, first of all, there's a lot of demands on our funds at the moment. It seems that we have a succession of problems. There are disasters and there are needs for the funds that are in our Rotary Foundation. Made worse potentially this year by both the COVID-19 virus and also the fact that fundraising for many clubs around the world has been very difficult for the last couple of months and will be up until the end of June. So therefore the capacity to support our Rotary Foundation may be diminished. So we need districts, including your great district, to do what you can to support our Rotary Foundation. Also, the history of polio eradication, let's face it, in India, we can't tell you anything about polio eradication. The spectacular effort Rotary, the government and the agencies did to eradicate polio in India is legendary. But we keep on, or we need to keep on with funding for polio eradication because it still exists west of you and also potentially in Africa. So we need to make sure that we contribute enough to the Foundation Polio Program to ensure we receive the match from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So that's really important. And of course, the annual fund of the Rotary Foundation is critically important. That's our backbone, if you like. And that's why in 3 years' time, half of the amount that is contributed to the annual fund flows back to each district to control in one way or another. So again, it's important that we keep on making contributions there. I'd like to quickly mention what's happening with COVID-19 and the Rotary Foundation if I can. Grants to alleviate the impact of COVID-19 have been very rapidly distributed, and I know that your district 3240 has received a grant to alleviate the impact, and that's fabulous. The total amount originally was the foundation put $1 million out and then put another 2 to be a total of 3. I know that the total spent on the alleviation of the impact of COVID-19 has already exceeded $12 million worldwide. So it's a really important thing that we're doing, and we are responding extremely quickly to the impact of what it is. We are having no in-person meetings between now and the end of December. No trustee meetings, no directors meetings, no in-person committee meetings. So again, that's just a security thing. A fringe benefit, if you like, is that we're saving some money, but it also makes it a little harder to deal with. Let me say that I mentioned I have a committee, a trustee meeting straight after this that will run until 1 o'clock in the morning. Last week I was doing that every single night. So it's not what I'd call efficient, but it's what we have to do now in these difficult times. You would be aware, particularly the Governor-elect would be aware that Holger has said that he will not have president's representatives at conferences next year. Again, partially as a cost saver, but in addition to ensure that those who have conferences in the second half of the Rotary year don't have an advantage over those in the first half of the year. So he has said he will have no representatives for the whole year, again, as a result of or a reaction to the COVID-19. There is a pandemic response task force that's been set up, comprising directors and Jeffrey Chatterjee. Director Jeffrey Chatterjee is the chairman of that task force, and they are looking at ways in which Rotary can respond in addition to what's already happened to COVID-19. One bit of news you mightn't have caught up with is that the US aid agency called USAID has given Rotary $5 million. and the $5 million is for Rotary in Italy to spend on food needs in that country. So it's an indication of the esteem with which Rotary is held, that the biggest US aid agency, the government aid agency, is prepared to give Rotary $5 million to do work in Italy, which I think is impressive. And there will be other potential opportunities for us to enter into arrangements and partnerships, because Rotary has the infrastructure, and we have people on the ground just about everywhere. So it's not surprising that USAID should seek us out to give us money, and others may do the same. Now, there are opportunities that come out of this crisis that we have at the moment. I'd like to quickly mention how I see this happening. The virus impact has some people talking about or describing it, wondering whether Rotary will ever be the same again. And it seems to me there are two impacts. There's the short-term impact and the longer-term impact. We do live in, let's call it, interesting times. Some people have likened COVID-19 to a war. The virus is a war. I look at it slightly differently, because in the average war you can see the enemy, but with COVID-19 it's really hard to keep your family, etc., out of harm's way. Here in Australia we have been in a degree of lockdown isolation up until tonight. In about 3 hours' time, it is lifted to some extent. It's been difficult for many people to cope with, but the result of it is that our number of cases and our fatalities has been extremely low by international terms. So it's sort of made a difference. But people are scared, and it's not surprising that people are scared, because you can't see the virus. So we really do have to be conscious of the fact that it is what it is, and we need to be aware of people's fears. So what's the impact on Rotary? In most of the world, we can't meet in person, and that's why Zoom meetings like this are so important. And it leads us to think about how important is it as a question that Rotary does meet in person. If we can't have face-to-face meetings, so for many people, particularly senior people in the, let's call it the Western world, the social highlight of their week is taken away. But I see this as an opportunity, a chance for us to show that Rotary is more than going to lunch, which was that famous quote from George Bernard Shaw. We connect the world. We make a difference in Rotary. So first we need to find creative ways to stay in touch. This Zoom gathering is a great idea, and I congratulate you for it, and whoever instituted it, be the Governor-elect Subhasish or whoever. Because we're all, to an extent, creatures of habit. So if members become accustomed to not making their regular visit to the Rotary Club meetings, in some parts of the world, I suspect not in India, but in some parts of the world, people will discover that Rotary is not their entire life, that life goes on without Rotary, and they may just drift away from us. So we need to keep engaged with both our club Rotarians and beyond. And it's essential that we stay in contact with the younger people who take part in our youth programs. You have Rotaractors, and Subhasish, you sent me some information about your Rotaract, which is really important. Rotaract is a great and developing program. I'm delighted that it's strong where you are. But it's essential that you encourage your Rotaractors to go on and become Rotarians when they're ready. You have greater success in your district than most at converting Rotaractors to Rotarians, and that's to your continuous credit. But secondly, we have to keep making a difference, because that's what Rotarians, what do we want to do? We want to make the world a better place. And I've been so impressed with what Rotary clubs right around the world have been able to do. They've come up with some excellent projects in these very difficult times. So we're showing that we don't need a weekly physical meeting to make the world a better place. Now, let me touch on the four-way test a bit. I've heard some people say that maybe the concept of the four-way test is a little old-fashioned, a little dated, a little 20th century. I happen to think it's more relevant than ever before. And let me give you just a quick example. In Australia, we've had adversity in the last 6 months with wildfires. We call them bushfires down here. That has brought out the best of people in lots of ways. And the support we have received from right around the world in the Rotary world has been fabulous. And it's really uplifting to see that we're part of a worldwide group. And there's many projects, and of course, Rotary clubs and districts are closely involved. And as I say, the support from right around the world is fabulous. So the people who are doing what they're doing, excuse me, what we need to show is that we're prepared to build goodwill and better friendships, one aspect of the four-way test, excuse me. That's nothing to do with COVID-19, it's just it's a sore throat. We have to be an example of doing good in the world. We must be, Rotarians must be an example to our community, because it seems to me this is an opportunity for us to become better known in our communities. In some parts of the world that could result in membership growth, not quite as important to you, but it is in many parts of the developed Rotary world, because people are desperate at the moment to help their communities, to make a difference, to do good in the world. And that's what Rotary does. If we can show that people, that Rotary is an effective and efficient way of making a difference, of achieving that objective, then we may have lots of people, good people, seeking to join us. Now, membership, as I say, isn't such a problem in your part of the world, but it is critical that we only accept good people. It's vital that we just don't accept anyone into our club in pursuit of membership. That is a big mistake. People have to buy into, have to acknowledge our belief in our ethical approach to things, as shown in the four-way test, to show that they have what it takes to be a Rotarian. And it's also essential that in what we do as Rotarians, we adhere to our ethical standards. Because what's the difference between a Rotary club and any other social club? A cricket club, dare I say it. What is the difference between us and any other group? It is our adherence to the four-way test and our preparedness to stay honest and in principle. And one criticism we hear from time to time of Rotary in India, there are so many electoral disputes, and to be fair, they have reduced in number in recent years, which is great. And we hear that people give incentives to be elected to positions and so on. That's from club president all the way up to governor and beyond. That is not acceptable, and that gives Rotary a bad name wherever it occurs. So I congratulate Rotary in India for everything that you do. There was a time when Rotary, the Rotary Foundation gave more to India than they received by way of contributions. That's no longer the case. India is an excellent and a high donor level to the foundation. So now you donate more than you receive, which is a wonderful thing to say, because it shows that Rotarians in India support our Rotary Foundation and all the things it does right around the world. I congratulate you on that. I congratulate you on everything you do. By the way, what was mentioned was that women in Rotary, I think I saw some figures you sent to me kindly, and I think you're somewhere around 13 or 14% women. That's an improvement. There's no doubt about that. It shows that there's still a way to go, but as long as it continues to improve in that regard, we are opening up our organisation in India and everywhere else to people who represent half of the population on the planet. So that is a plus, and I congratulate you again on the way in which that is improving. Allow me to finish there. I think that's about time. And I'm really happy to take questions as you wish.
Thank you. Thank you, Ian. Thank you so much for your crisp focus on Rotary Foundation. And I do really agree that these days, India has come up with contribution as well. And I would like to inform you that our current district governor is one person who is so much close to foundation, and he is a level 3 major donor. And he keeps on donating, not only in his year, but for every Rotary year. Thank you. And Ian, we have few question and answer sessions, and I have with me past Governor Swapan Choudhury, who was governor for 14 and 15. Swapan Choudhury has few questions that we have received from Rotarians of our district. He will moderate this session and coordinate with you for these questions. Past Governor Swapan, over to you.
Okay, thank you. DG, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, Ian, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Swapan.
Well, welcome to 3240 once again in India, one of the vibrant districts in India, I must say. So we have so many questions, everybody wants to talk to a very favorite past RI president, Ian Riseley. But since the time will not permit, we have picked up only few questions, maybe 4 or 5 questions for you. And the first question goes like this. This question is from Ankit Agarwal of Rotary Siliguri, Ankit and Ravinder from RC Dimapur. They have the same question. They say that your theme during your year as RI president was Rotary making a difference. What a unique theme you had. I must congratulate Ian. And they also say that I believe that the Rotary and Rotarian will keep making the difference in the society as a whole. The question is, at this juncture of crisis, when the entire world is suffering from COVID-19, what do you suggest that will still motivate Rotarians to keep on making differences in the world?
Thank you, Swapan, for passing on that question. We are in difficult times. There's not the slightest doubt about that. And to an extent, we've had to put other interests and other activities on the back burner to a lesser extent. If I may touch on the theme of making a difference for a second, many of my predecessors had themes that were slightly ethereal almost. It didn't take me long to work out what I wanted as my theme, because that is what Rotary does every single day. Rotary makes a difference. And I think we can continue to do so because every year we develop our organization. The environment is a good example. When I asked the Rotarians of the world to demonstrate their interest in the environment and working on the environment by just planting 1 tree per Rotarian, I knew that, first of all, we would beat that target, and that was easily done. I have looked at figures that showed that in the great country of India, more than 1.2 million trees were planted, let alone the rest of the world. So what that does is set a benchmark. Some people said, why don't we try for something more adventurous? Well, we have to start somewhere. And the environment concept of planting a tree has since developed. There are lots of clubs and districts around the world that are continuing to plant trees and are getting involved in things like removing plastics from waterways and doing cleanups and things like that, which improve our environment. So I think as an organization, we continuously develop, which is why I like the idea of having a different president with maybe different ideas every year, because that way we're able to have a series of emphases that may change, but the previous emphasis doesn't go away. Does that sort of make sense? That's what I'm trying to say. I think as an organization, we continue to make a difference every single year.
That was so brilliant. Thank you, Ian, for your very specific answer to the questions. Ravinder and Ankit must be happy with the reply given by past RI president. And the second question, Jan, is from Rotarian Subhi Roy. He is from Rotary, Durgapur. Durgapur is an industrialist city in India. Durgapur Smart City, the club's name is. And he says that Rotary is existing in 200 plus countries in the world. He is worried that after COVID-19, the entire world is suffering financially. And he also said that at this time, at this juncture, when whether RI board is thinking to give some financial relief to Rotarians who are dedicated to their work, but they are a little backward financially. Do you have any plan for that? Or
that's an excellent question, and interestingly, I spoke to another group earlier today, and they had exactly the same question. The answer for me is I don't know, because I'm no longer on the board of directors. And you have, in India, you have 2 directors, so that is the question that is appropriate to go to them. But I do recognize, as I think all of the Rotary world recognizes, that the impact of COVID-19 is not universal. There are some places where there may be problems with the medical side of things, but the economy keeps kicking along. In other parts of the world, I know that here, for example, Rotarians, friends of mine, have had to close their business, and that's really sad. And if so many people have lost their jobs, etc. So we do have to recognize that times are tough. Exactly what the board is proposing, frankly, I don't know. But Swapan, I think that would be a really good idea if that question was posed to one or more of the directors you have from your part of the world, and it would at least let them know that that is of concern to Rotarians in India, because I can understand absolutely why it is.
Okay, thank you for your suggestion. We'll definitely get in touch with our directors who are residing very close to our place. And Ian, the third question from Rotarian Pavan of Rotary Club of Tinsukia from Assam in India. He says that what do you think after COVID-19, whether Rotary shall be in a position to maintain its membership strength? And if yes, if your reply is positive, then why?
I think we are going to inevitably see some reduction in membership for the reasons that you just outlined. Times are tough, and there are people who have to concentrate more on their financial and family survival rather than Rotary, which is important, but it's not that important. I know that the budget that is being looked at the moment presupposes a reduction in membership. I won't talk about how much, but there is a presupposition that membership may fall. And so the question said, if I'm confident it's going to continue, why? Well, the answer is I'm not confident that it's, I think we must inevitably lose some members as a result of this, particularly in parts of the world where maybe Rotary is still developing.
Okay. Thank you. So can I come to the next question, please? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The next question comes from Rotary Club of Malda, Rotarian DP Sen. Before I put the question in front of you, let me also express my happiness that we are going to have our Rotary National President Shekhar Mehta in 21-22, and he is a very very dynamic Rotary leader in this part of the world. And he always says that once you learn to give, if you are learning how to give, then you learn how to take. Unfortunately, as you say during your deliberation, that now India is in a position to give also. We are a very strong contributor to Rotary International, Rotary Foundation. Now this question goes like this, that what will be the scenario of contribution to TRF, not only from India, from the entire world who are suffering from COVID-19? What will be the scenario of the contribution to TRF by clubs post COVID-19?
Well, first of all, let me address the first part. It is entirely appropriate that at this juncture in our history, we have another president from India. I'm in the fortunate position that the last 2 presidents from India are good friends, and I have the greatest of respect for them. and I'm totally confident the Shaker will continue in the same style, which is to represent India and the Rotary world with distinction, and that's really important. And I congratulate Rotary in India for the way in which you are developing and increasing your profile and your efficiency within the Rotary organization. In regard to the Rotary Foundation and post-COVID-19, I think we would be naive if we thought nothing would happen, because we are budgeting for a reduction in contributions next year, particularly into the annual fund. We just have to be realistic and believe that because of maybe reduced membership and certainly financial difficulties of people, the prospect of us continuing to grow our contributions is doubtful. So we just have to frame a budget, which we are in the process of doing now, frame a budget that cuts costs wherever we can. We are cutting costs. Every single budget line is being looked at, and we will have expenses that will be millions and millions less than last year, because the offset against that is the fact that our contributions may be down. It's not such a problem for our programs this year because of the annual fund we're spending money from 3 years ago, but it is going to be a problem if we're not careful in 3 years' time. So we have to spend, we have to truncate our expenses and do whatever we can to maintain contributions.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answers. I think we are in the last part of the question answer session. As I said in the beginning, we have many questions. Everybody is ready to talk to you, Jan, but we have picked up a few questions only, and we are left with only one question, and that is from the mouth of our district governor-elect, Subhasish. Subhasish is a person, we are fortunate that in our district, all the governors are very, very active. The present governor, Devashish, is doing an excellent job as far as global grants are concerned. He has given all his best effort to collect huge amount of money for Rotary Foundation. And Subhasish is a person who is very dynamic as a governor, as a deputy leader, very popular in our district. And I'm sure that during his tenure, he will come once again with us to motivate Subhasish to do good in our district. And his question, DG Subhashish's question is, as you know that this time Rotary Foundation has given a very good amount to different districts for disaster fund management. And we are one district. We are fortunate. Fortunately, we are one district. We have received it, $25,000 US. And his question is whether the trustee are keeping some provision for Rotary clubs to apply for global grant for disaster management. If yes, how much? Please elaborate.
Swapan, can you say again?
No, she was asking that whether, Can I?
Yeah, please. Can you repeat?
Shivashi's question was that whether trustees are keeping some amount of money for Rotary clubs to apply for global grant or disaster management. If yes, what are the plans like, if you can elaborate?
Certainly. The global grants will continue until we run out of money. It's as simple as that. So we still have some funds available now for global grants, and I would actively encourage districts who wish to make a global grant application to do so relatively quickly. At the same time, in the year to come, our capacity to service is a little reduced, but the lifeblood of our Rotary Foundation, in my opinion, are the significant global grants that we're able to do every year. We can't do everything, and we have certain commitments to the peace centers and projects of scale and all of that kind of thing. But there is enough money for global grants to ensure that worthwhile programs will be supported by the Rotary Foundation. We are looking at ways in which we can change the funding model a little bit in terms of encouraging district designated fund to be spent. At the moment, there is, I think it's $53 million at the start of the year that is carried forward as district designated funds and not spent. I don't know whether your district has any unspent DDF carried forward. There is in some parts of the world. We're encouraging districts to spend that wherever they can, or to contribute it to polio, or to contribute it to the peace centres, or to contribute it to something, because people don't donate to the Rotary Foundation to have it sitting there unspent. But there will be funds available for global grants, and we would actively encourage clubs, districts to take part. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was wonderful spending some quality time with you. And we all 3,000 Rotarians of our district 3240 in India, we pray to the Almighty for your good health, for your families' peace and good health. And with these few words, I thank you once again for coming here with us in 3240. And I hand over this proceedings of the meeting to DG Subhasish. Subhasish, please.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Past Governor Swapan, for managing this question and answer sessions. And thank you, Ian, for answering the question so precisely and to the point. And I'm sure the Rotarians of our district, after this interaction, has some visibility or idea where Rotary is looking forward in years to come. With these words, we come to this end of the sessions. But before we end up, on behalf of District 3240, 3,000 plus Rotarians and their families, I wish you all the best. And as we are meeting virtually, we are not meeting physically, we are not able to shake hands each other, but definitely from District 3240, from India to your place, we are sending an invisible basket, which has lots of love, care, affection, and greetings from 3240 to you and Juliet. I'm sure this basket will keep you and Juliet safe, healthy at your place. Take care, have a good time, and good night to you. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you very much for your welcome, and the virtual good wishes are really important to us. Juliet and I are blessed to be happy and healthy, and I hope all of the Rotarians are the same in your district and beyond. And I wish you in particular success for your year of leadership that's approaching extremely quickly. So good luck with that. And again, thank you for the invitation. And it's been a pleasure to be with you. So good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, good night. Friends, rest of the Rotarians of 3240 and outside districts also, I can see DG and Farooqi has joined from Bangladesh, and Ramesh from my batchmate from 3080. Thank you very much for being with us. Governor Devashish, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. I'm sure in spite of your busy time, you spent.
I'm just leave now immediately.
I know. I can understand your situation. Thank you so much, Devashish. And Past Governor Swapan Choudhury, as usual, you are brilliant managing the question answer session. We look forward some more virtual meeting quickly, and we'll let everybody knows about it. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and spending your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.